So welcome to 2.6, the second part of the story problems lecture and the second page of the actual worksheet. So we're just going to get into these problems right now. And the first one says a home has a triangular backyard. And as soon as I hear something like that, a lot of times I'll just draw a big triangle on the piece of paper, because I'm going to draw a picture to try to model what's going on. Now, we go on to see that the second angle is 5 more than the first, that should probably be a T on the end of that, the first angle. The third angle is 10 more than 3 times the first angle. Find the angles of the triangular yard. So notice, we're comparing the second angle to the first angle. We're comparing the third angle to the first angle as well. So let's let X be our first angle. And that's the little symbol for angle there. Now, if this right here is the second angle, we know the second is 5 more than the first. If the first is X, the second is going to be X plus 5. Now, the third angle is 10 degrees more than 3 times the first. Well, 3 times the first, 3x, 10 more, plus 10, that is going to be the third angle measurement. Now, we know, or we should probably know, that if we add up the interior angles, that if we add that angle together with that angle with that, we get 180. So we can add these angles, the first one being x, plus the second one, wow, that's getting a little crazy over there, x plus 5 plus the third one, 3x plus 10, this should equal 180, the total number of degrees in a triangle. Okay? So now, once we have this equation written out, we want to combine like terms. We have x, another x, and 3 x's, so we have 5x. We add our numbers, 5 and 10, plus 15 equals our 180. Now we're trying to isolate the x here, so we would have to subtract 15 here. So we get 5x equals 165. And then finally, if we divide both sides by 5 here, we're going to get x equals 33 degrees. So what that tells us is, we know that x is how we denoted our first angle. So we can write here the first angle is 33 degrees. Now the second angle is 5 more than the first. Well, the first is 33. 33 plus 5 is 38. So the second is 38 degrees. And then finally, to find the angle measurement of the third, notice the third angle is 3 times that, or it's 10 more than 3 times the first angle. So we can plug that in. 3 times 33 plus 10. Well, 3 times 33 is 99. 10 more than 99 is 109. So the third angle is 109 degrees. And then there's just a little check we could do to make sure this even makes sense. If we add 33 to 38 to 109, we should get our 180 back. That is the number of degrees in an angle. And if we add those up, we're looking pretty good, and we get that 180. So that's that one right there. So the second one's about taxis, and in Chicago, a taxi charges $3 plus 75 cents per mile for airport pickup. How far from the airport can Courtney travel for $12? Well, this is one of those problems where there's a fixed cost. Like, it costs $3 just to get in the taxi, regardless of like how far you drive. Then 75 cents per mile. Now, because it asks how far from the airport, we want x to equal number of miles. Okay? So, we're trying to find out when her cost is going to be $12. So, Courtney's cost, it's $3 plus 75 cents. Now, if we're doing this in dollars, the 3 is 3. 75 cents, we're going to have to put 0.75 because it's $0.75, and that's times x. So if she travels 1 mile, it's 75 cents. 2 miles, 2 times 75 is $1.50. 3 miles, etc., etc. So we have our fixed cost, the $3, our variable cost, the cost per mile times the number of miles, and we're trying to find when this equals 12. That is, how far can she go from the airport for $12? And there are generally problems that work like this where there's going to be a fixed cost and a variable cost. The variable cost always goes with the variable. Now solving this, we want to isolate the x, so subtract 3. That gives us 0.75x equals 9. So divide by 0.75. And if we do that, we're going to get that x equals 12. Now notice, we said that x is the number of miles, so we can say that Courtney can travel 12 miles for $12. And that's how we do that problem right there. Okay, so a couple more here. And hopefully these will make sense. So this next one, it says the standard rectangular highway billboard sign has a perimeter of 124 feet. The length is 6 more than 3 times the width. Find the dimensions of the sign. So, because it says rectangular board, I am just going to draw a little rectangle here. Now we know the perimeter is the distance all the way around. We also know that the length is 6 more than 3 times the width. So if this is the width, the length, so the length is means equals 6 more than, we're going to add 6 to something, 3 times the width, 3w. So L equals 3w plus 6. So the length is 6 more than 3 times the width. Now, if we want to know what the perimeter is, it's going to be this length, which is 3w plus 6, plus this length, which is plus w, plus we have another 3w plus 6. So since we have 2 of those, we can even say it's 2 times 3w plus 6. So we had this w. I don't know why this is. We have a 6 over here. Sorry about that. We said that this is a w, so we should have plus w. So we had our 3w plus 6 plus a w plus a 3w plus 6, giving us 2 of those. And then we have to add another w. So really, we have 2 w's. And that makes sense because standard perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths for a rectangle. So if this is the perimeter is also 124 feet, so we can say this equals 124. So now it's time to solve this problem here. First thing we want to do is get rid of the parentheses, so we're going to distribute. 2 times 3w is 6w. Distribute the 2 to our 6, so plus 12, plus our 2w equals 124. Combine some like terms, so we have our 6w plus 2w is 8w, plus 12 equals 124. Subtract our 12. So subtracting 12, so we get 8w equals 112, and then divide by 8. I'm running out of room here. Divide by 8, divide by 8. 112 divided by 8 is 14. So the width, 14 feet. Okay. Now, because it wants to find the dimensions, we need to know what the length is as well. Now notice, the length is 3 times the width plus 6. So if we take our 14, our width length, multiply that by 3, we're going to get 42. Then, but it's 6 more than 3 times, so if we add 6 onto that, the length is 48 feet. So those are the dimensions. Width 14 feet, length 48 feet. So, whoops, I'm trying to move this, didn't work. So now we're on to the next one. So what we have is this. It says Tom paid an average of $34 for recent purchases of 3 ties. Okay? The price of one tie was twice as much as another, and the remaining tie cost $27. What's the price of each tie? Now, here's the deal. It says the average price. If you're trying to average 3 things, generally speaking, we add them together. So A plus B plus C over 3, that would be the average of A, B, and C. And I think that most people are pretty good with average. If we're going to average 4 things, we add them together and divide by 4. Averaging 5 things, add them together and divide by 5. So if Tom paid an average of $34 per tie, the average is 34. So let's plug that in right there. Now, it says the price of one tie was twice as much as another. So we don't know what the first tie cost. Let's call X cost of tie 1. We know another one was twice as much as this. So 2X cost of tie 2. It goes on to say the remaining tie cost 27. So 27 is cost of tie 3. So if we're trying to find the average of these costs of the ties, we're going to add these things together and then divide by our 3. So we have our division by 3. Adding these things together, we have x plus 2x plus 27 equals 34. So we need to get rid of this 3. In order to get rid of the 3, because we're dividing by 3, we're going to multiply both sides by 3. So here, this 3 cancels with that 3. So we have x plus 2x plus 27 equals, over here, 34 times 3 is going to be 102. So we got rid of the 3, and now we have something that doesn't have fractions. Combining like terms here, x and 2x, that's going to give us 3x plus 27 equals 102. Now we need to get rid of our 27 over here. So if we subtract 27 from both sides, cancellation here, we get 3x equals 102 minus 27, 75. Divide by 3, and x equals 25. So, what this is saying is this, going back to our original thing. X is the cost of the first tie, so the ties cost $25. The second one is twice the first, so that'd be $50. And the last one's $27. And then the question is, does this make sense? So it says the average cost is $27. So if we add these things together, the average cost was $34. So if we add these things together and divide by 3, that is 25 plus 50, which gives us 75, plus 27, 102. If we divide that by 3, we do get 34, so it makes sense that those are the tie costs. So hopefully that made sense. If not, watch the video again, send me an email, watch the videos in my math lab, and I'll see you next time.